Wrestling fans, now you too can look as cool as Monty and the Pharaoh by wearing the official Monty and the Pharaoh sunglasses at night for $8.99 each. That's only $8.99 each. Now available at montyandthepharaoh.com. We know what you're thinking. Did they fire off 6 fascinating points of interest or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all the excitement of watching and listening to Long Island's #1 wrestling podcast, I've actually forgotten myself. But being this is the Monty and the Pharaoh from Indie Music Studios in Ronkonkoma, and the fact that they were talking to yet another champion wrestling star, one of the most powerful and talented performers from the wrestling franchise, and not to forget, well-informed and provocative interview questions asked and answered. It was such an interesting and entertaining hour, the questions nearly blew your head clean off. Now you've got to ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Do ya, punk?
What? Yeah. No, I'm behaving myself. No, I'm not playing in abandoned buildings. What? Again? Now, I suppose you had those people follow me again. Fine. Hey, this is Jimmy Farrow from Monty and the Pharaoh, and I want to thank all our subscribers. We have now passed 14,000 on our YouTube channel. But I want to ask our subscribers to take the next step for us and become a full-fledged member of Monty and the Pharaoh. Yeah, that's right, folks. There's 3 different levels to choose from. There's free shirts. There's free autographs. Just check it out and become a member of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh. Later.
All right, welcome to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh, filmed and produced out of Indie Music TV, straight out of Ronkonkoma, Long Island. And at the board, in a quick round 2, Matty Ice. Matty, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Got some sleep after last night's show?
I got some good sleep, yeah.
That's it, brother.
Look, you got sleep?
A little
Yeah,
rest.
just
A
a
little rest will do you well.
Don't you go out and get ripped? What do you... You got sleepless? I got like 3 hours sleep. What do you mean you're doing great?
Dude, what do you must not...
He's always doing great. There's something up with that.
You must not be listening, because last night, this is a guy that brings his girlfriend to the city and talks politics.
Oh,
He's not going to go out and party on a Thursday night. What's wrong with you,
Yeah, you're
man?
right. Never mind. Matt, it's thrilling to see you, and I feel pretty great to see that you're doing pretty great. Go ahead.
Terrific.
Yeah, great.
And there you are wearing a Jets jersey. I'm sure.
I clearly am not doing great, because this is
I don't even know what you're thinking about right now.
This is my fart stain of a football team.
I can't even believe you're even wearing that thing right now.
Why not? Listen, you got to have loyalty in this world. I'll be the first one to laugh in everybody's face. Of course, I'll be dead by then. But when the Jets win a Super Bowl, you'll hear my ghost going, "Aha!"
And if by now, if anybody didn't even realize, that is the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Farrow. How are you?
I'm pretty great. Didn't you hear me? I'm just like him. I'm doing fantastic. Jet shirt and all.
All right, a little spotty news there, Farrow.
What?
An orphan grizzly bear moves to Detroit Zoo and becomes best friends with a polar bear. An orphan grizzly bear cub, Jebby, recently found a new home at the Detroit Zoo after he found wandering in Alaska by the Alaska Fish and Game Department. After a thorough health assessment, Jebby was transferred to the Detroit Zoo, where he met an unlikely friend, Larky.
Jebby met Larky.
A polar bear cub born at the facility last year, and now they're best of friends, almost like us.
Jebby does Larky sounds like a bad porn
It
flick.
doesn't. What do you mean Jebby does Larky? Who said Jebby does Larky? It's Jebby's friends with Larky. They're friends.
And a polar bear cub got born.
No, dude. The polar bear was born in the zoo.
Oh, I see now.
And now they're two cubs and they're friends.
Oh, and
you and I.
How touching.
It is.
How absolutely touching.
I know how much you love animals since
Yeah.
you were crying the blues about a
What,
white
you putting
deer.
up a picture of a dead deer? Yeah, I was crying the blues, you sick bastard. That was insane. What are you doing that for?
Do you think our guest, Sabu, hunts deer? I'm going to
No,
ask
I
her.
don't think Sabu
After the
hunts
commercial break,
deer.
I'm going to...
He's going to hunt you if you keep
he's
it
used
up.
to these interviews.
Go ahead.
And, you know, all these guys, and then
Yeah?
he's going to hear from us. Do you hunt deer?
What kind of... Don't do that. Please don't do that.
I think people
You're
want to know.
going through a table if you do.
People want to know.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank the band that sings the theme song for Monty and the Pharaoh, our own Jimmy Farrow, along with his partner Bart Griggs, a part of the band Wisteria Hall. Wisteria Hall sings such great songs as In My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind, Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music on the Wisteria Hall YouTube page. Please hit like and subscribe. And I keep asking you, Farrell.
What?
Is the Wisteria Hall YouTube page getting more likes and subscribes?
Of course, it's associated with Monty and the Pharaoh.
Well, you know, finally
And
you
vice
answer that
versa.
question. You kind of give me the round and a
I am?
round and a round.
I was?
You can get their music on Spotify, hear them on Apple Music and Reverb Nation.
Yeah.
If you didn't know this is Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh. Catch us on the Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube page, the Monty and the Pharaoh Facebook Live page. Hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, or where all audio channels are found. Catch us on the Twitch TV Monty and the Pharaoh page. Also, if you're lucky enough to live in New York,
Lucky enough.
which many of you are,
Okay.
catch us on channel 115 every Tuesday from 9 to 9:30. Yes, that time has changed to 9 to 9:30, where you'll get the consolidated version of this
consolidated?
great legend that we have in studio
Okay,
today,
okay.
Mr. Sabu. And for early risers, channel 115, 6 a.m. to 6:30, which will change, I think.
Okay.
And channel 20 from 2 a.m., that's on Friday. That was yesterday, but you won't get this show till next Friday. 2 a.m. to 2:30 for the people that stay up very late.
Yeah, Pharaoh time.
All right, we're going to go to a quick commercial break because I know the fans have been waiting for this. Very, very excited to be part of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, to be able to see this legend, this pro wrestling legend, this ECW legend, this innovator, this all-around most incredible wrestler that we've ever run across, Sabu.
Suicidal, homicidal, genocidal. We'll be right back.
In the mood for a freshly roasted cup of coffee? www.offtherailscoffeeroasters.com.
And Nitro's Garage for all your automotive needs. Call 646-675-2349. That's 646-675-2349. For all your automotive needs, Nitro's Garage. Ask for Jack. Jeff Quest, graphics design, custom vinyl lettering, and all your art and video needs. 516-317-8204. That's for Jeff Quest, graphic design.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh. And by the way, just one quick reminder before we get this legend. I know people are chomping at the bit. And
I'm chomping.
And I keep extending
what
it a
is this
little
quick
bit,
reminder?
right?
What?
ESO Creative has these exclusive numbered Monty and the Pharaoh T-shirts that you can go to the ESO Creative website, and if you use the key discount code Monty,
Why do you keep looking at me like you want
because
me to
I know
get
you're
mad
going to get
about
all
this?
angry about that.
I am not angry
You'll
about
get 10%
it. You wish I
off those
was.
individually numbered shirts. Again, with all our wonderful sponsors, please support. But the time has arrived.
It sure has.
We've been waiting for this for a very long time. We got to meet his partner last week.
Yes,
in
we
an
did.
Incredible interview.
You got to meet
And
his
now
manager, too, in the past.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now we finally get to meet this icon,
Finally.
ECW legend Sabu. How are you, sir? Nice.
Tell you the truth, I've been better. I'm not great.
Not great?
Not great.
Let's get into it. Why aren't you great?
My back hurts. My wife died a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Kind of shit like that.
Our condolences.
Would you mind talking about Melissa at all?
We could talk a little bit if you want to.
Well, let's have at it. Could maybe you could tell us what kind of person Melissa was?
She was a great person. She kept me in line. If it wasn't for her, I don't know where I'd be today. She saved my life a few times, and I couldn't save hers. I tried. She was a great person. Still, she was great.
How did you guys meet?
I met her about 15, 20 years ago in L.A. In passing, and then I met her again 2007 in WWE, and then I met her again 6 years ago when these guys were bullying her on the internet, talking shit about her, saying that she had sex with me and all this stuff back 20 years ago, and we didn't. We got stuck in the same hotel room, but I was a perfect gentleman, and she even said I was. I let her sleep in the bed. I slept in the chair. And then the guy who put us in the room together tried to say that we had sex together to cause some kind of stir some shit. Mm-hmm. And so they were bullying her 20 years later about this. So I got on there and said, hey, you guys, this ain't true. It's bullshit. Boom, boom, boom. Leave her alone. And they did. And then we became friends, and then we started dating.
What do you think about the internet? Because I don't really sense that you're an internet. I'm not much of an internet kind of guy. How do you feel about the internet where anybody can just hop on a keyboard and say
I resisted it for so many years. Now I'm with it. Okay. About 2 years ago, I said some shit on Twitter thinking, who's going to listen to me? And they listened to me and got me suspended off Twitter for a little bit.
Oh, he's been suspended too.
Look at that.
Yeah.
There we go.
We were recently suspended over COVID-19 comments with Mr.
Really?
Hyatt. Yeah,
Wow.
well,
I got suspended over racist, homophobic comments or something like that. And who doesn't have those or thoughts of those?
Understood.
Anybody who says they're not a racist or a little bit of a racist is lying.
Right.
Everybody's a little bit of a racist. When you go to jail, if you're not a racist, you're dead. You got to go to your own race. You got to go Mexican, black, white, whatever. You can't stick alone. You have to choose a side, and that side happens to be a race. Now I don't really think I'm a bad racist. I'm just an honest racist. I don't really even consider myself a racist. Just a realist.
No, I understand what you're saying. It's funny.
Sounds honest to me.
You're actually throwing me off because when I was getting ready for work this morning, I started thinking about racism and conversations that I have with people, like your example. And it really had to do with Hulk Hogan, right? Because we were talking about something on last night's show, and people were bringing up comments what Hogan had said, and I was thinking to myself,
what he said behind closed doors.
Correct. So
what everybody says behind closed doors.
With someone recording him unknowingly on top of it, of course.
But I guess my thought process is exactly what you said, is that sometimes people will turn to racism in order to share their feelings in a certain way. And it may not, like you said, it may not be that you're racist, but you can have racist thoughts, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And most of my racist thoughts are jokes. I think they're funny as hell. They're so ignorant and makes them so funny. I learned most of my stuff from Dave Chappelle.
There you go.
He's so funny, and the racist comments he made and what I copy from him are so ridiculous. Who would believe him, or who would really think that I had a serious thought about it? I just think it's funny how ignorant some people can be about race, and I think it's funny.
What do you think about what's going on in this country? Because it seems like the separation between races and sexuality is really getting to a point where people are drawing the lines.
I don't know. I don't want to voice my opinion about something I don't know that much about. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't really pay attention to that.
Fair enough. We had Rob Van Damen, and we asked how you were doing to Rob, and Rob had just nothing but great things to speak about you. And
I'm surprised.
Are you really?
Oh, he was raving about you.
Can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with Rob?
Well, I was training this guy Samson for my uncle, and Rob was Samson's friend. So Samson brung Rob to meet my uncle to be trained, and so we trained him. And actually, my uncle made me do all the heavy lifting, and he just sat outside the ring and told me what to do with him. So that's how it started. That was like 1988.
Did you think it would take off the way it did, the chemistry between you and Rob on air? I mean,
Yes and no. Like at the time, I was already wrestling 5 years when I first started teaching him. So I was a step ahead of him. But he could do backflips and acrobats more than I could. So he taught me that. I taught him how to be a wrestler. He taught me how to do backflips and shit. So he raised the bar for me because at the time, when you're a first match guy, you stayed in the first match stuff. Like, you don't leave the ring, you don't use a chair, you don't bleed, you don't swear, you stay in the ring, you wrestle for 10 minutes, and usually it's a draw. Now, today, they have the first match, they have death matches in the first match.
Right.
Or tables and chairs and blood and all that in the first match and every match. And that's not how it is. When I started doing the crazy stuff, I worked my way there. I didn't start out doing cage matches or barbed wire matches. No. My first 5 years, I never left the ring, never even went to the top rope. The first 5 years, I did in practice, but not during a match because I just wasn't. That's how first match guys do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they tone it down for the next match to be better than they are.
right, it's a build-up, the
And
whole
then
card.
the final match, everything goes loose.
Sure.
You know? You can't have chaos in every match.
Right.
There's just no order that way. It's no fun.
Right.
It sounds like it would be, but it isn't.
Is that killing today's wrestling? That what you've just explained?
But what's that again?
Is that killing today's pro wrestling? What you just explained, that there's no build up anymore?
Yeah, that's like there's a lot of these deathmatch companies call me, and one thing is they don't pay shit. The other thing is that they don't make any reason to rhyme. Now, when I have a death match, it's usually because I wrestled them in a match and something led to another match, and then to a tag match, and then to a cage match, and then to a death match or something. Nothing starts out with leads up to a ladder match. Nothing starts out with a ladder match or with a death match. That's crazy. That's stupid. And they don't pay for shit. They don't. You get 150 stitches in your arm. You got to fix it yourself or pay for it yourself. They don't pay for it, and you don't make enough money to pay for it. You know, so you let it go. They don't pay these guys shit. These guys get paid dirt. Yeah, and they're out there, inhaling light tube dust and all that shit. You know, the light tubes are to me, is ridiculous because they don't hurt. If someone hit me with a light tube in real life, it wouldn't even piss me off. I wouldn't feel it. Wow. Now, what would piss me off would be the powder that comes out of it, inhaling the fumes that come out of it, whatever you want to call it.
You know what? I'm an idiot because I was like, that shit's got to hurt.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
It just
why do you think they do
noise.
it? That's why they do it.
Yeah.
Now, why do you think I use a table? It breaks my fall. If I didn't use a table, I'd smack on the floor and bounce off the cement. Yeah. And I don't want that. I'd rather bounce off a table, and that breaks my fall. Everybody thinks when you hit a table, that hurts more than the floor. It doesn't.
So when a table doesn't give, though, that's got to hurt.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
That's got to hurt.
The better it gives, the easier it is.
Right.
And in the beginning, I never gimmicked tables, and I never had tables gimmicked. Now, sometimes they were gimmicked without my request, and they'd fall down before I wanted to use them. But I like a hard table. The harder the table is, the more it breaks my fall. Now, if it doesn't break at all, then that's different. Then it kind of kicks my ass.
Gotcha. When RVD was here with us, he said something pretty interesting. You guys, to me, were both innovative. You were changing how wrestling was being looked at, especially in the ECW days. Rob mentioned that like an old-timer like Stan Hansen, as he was coming up, was like, oh, your style is ridiculous, son. And he would make fun of him and stuff until he finally got in the ring with him and realized, oh, wow, there is something to this. Was it easy for you? Did you have anybody giving you any grief, like behind the scenes, about the style that you were showing people?
Everybody gave me grief until they wrestled me. But the thing was, I wasn't killing my opponent. It just looked that way. I knew what I was doing.
Sure
the other guys were killing each other. The guys that were copying me, they were killing each other. So what I would do after I put a guy through a table, I'd give him an extra $100 if he told everybody it hurt. I said, here's $100, keep your mouth shut. You know, and if anybody asks you, say, yeah, that table really hurt, just so they wouldn't do it. And then one day, Taz put me through a table, and he told everybody, hey, that shit don't hurt.
Right.
And then everybody started doing it.
How did Sheik feel about your style?
He liked it. The thing was, he didn't. I learned that style kind of on my own. When we were training in his backyard, we did everything you're supposed to do the way he said to do it. You know, first match guides. But when he wasn't looking, me and Rob would do some crazy stuff. And when he come back out, we'd stop and get back in line. And then when I went to Japan for the first time, I go, Sheik, what do you want me to do tonight? He goes, I want you to wrestle like I'm not watching. I go, what do you mean? He goes, when you're in the backyard doing all that crazy shit to your, I call it tackling dummy, but it was a mattress. You're doing all that crazy shit to your tackling dummy, and you think I'm not watching, but I was watching. I want you to do that shit. And that was where the breaking the tables and getting getting crazy, because I do it when he wasn't looking, and now he said, now wrestle as if I'm not looking, So I did, and it got over big.
So ironically, he was seeing that what you were doing was the thing to do.
Yes,
and
exactly.
told you so.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Was there a lot of pressure being in, growing up with the Sheik? It's the Sheik.
No, not really. We didn't really tell that many people because he was a heel, and back then people hated the heels. They'd follow him home and try to kill him and stuff. And so when we go to the show or talked about him, we didn't tell people we were related to him because they'd take it out on us, or we thought they would. They never really did, but they said they would. So we didn't really brag about him being my uncle that much,
right?
Especially during the match.
Right.
We didn't say anything.
Right. Was he?
But my close friends and neighbors knew,
Right. I respectfully asked this: was he safe in his own house, or did people drive by, figure out where he was?
No, he wasn't safe. When I was a little baby, when I was 3-4 years old, he used to live close to the street. Later on, he got a house a half a mile from the street because people would drive by, throw fire bombs at his mailbox, blow up his mailbox, throw fire bombs at his house, or follow him home and cut him off and shit. And he never was scared. I was scared.
Did he like it?
I was scared for him.
But did he like it? Did that?
Well, yeah.
He kind of got off.
The more
on it?
people that followed him, the more they bought tickets.
Yeah.
The more the people got mad at him, more they bought tickets.
Sabu's thoughts on when kayfabe died.
I still don't like to say it died. I still kayfabe a little bit. I don't expose myself all the way. I can't. I just can't. That's not our business. Is kayfabe. If just like a magician, even though you know what he's doing is a trick, he's not going to tell you that it's a trick. Right. Why would he tell you it's a trick?
Right.
That's his trick.
Were you upset when the curtain call happened, the infamous curtain call at the Garden? Did that piss you off?
Yes, of course it did.
Okay.
I don't like. I don't like people knowing my tricks. Or know that it is a trick.
Absolutely.
So when I wrestled, when I went to ECW and FMW, I practiced so much to make it look so real and not be real. And not hurt nobody.
Oh, yeah.
And I hurt myself way more than I ever hurt anybody.
I believe it.
I always put myself in danger before my opponent. Even John Cena said, I heard that you hurt yourself before you hurt me. I go, yeah, you're right. He goes, well, I respect that. And I said, well, thank you. Yeah. And when I wrestled John Cena, everybody said he was a crowbar, the shits, that he's hard to work with. He was excellent.
There you go.
He was excellent. He actually let me lead the match.
Soft hands?
Yes.
Nice.
So interesting you speak about kayfabe. There's a fan out there, PJ Taints. He has a good question, but I'm going to kind of change different format. He said he saw you on Dark Side of the Ring last night. You look great. Your feelings on Dark Side of the Ring, and as a legend like yourself, are you worried about going on those type of shows now, considering how they're trying to kind of turn?
Hey, look what happened to Tommy.
I am now, since this stuff with Tommy and Van Dam, they said that they should have stood up and helped the stewardess or the flight attendant. And I agree, they should have. Someone should have helped her. Fuck Ric Flair. I'd never liked him anyways. He's a cocksucker, And I'll say it to his face, and I'll say it to his ass. I'll say it anywhere I see him. And someone should have stopped him, And if that's what he does, because I seen him do that stuff in the hotel room. As soon as he gets to the hotel, he gets drunk and gets naked. But that's kind of okay. He didn't corner somebody who didn't want to be cornered. Anybody in his room, they deserve to be cornered. But on an airplane, that was different, and nobody helped this woman. I almost cried for her.
What did you feel about Tommy's comments, though, that he felt it was like boys just being the boys?
Right.
I mean, what was your feeling on that?
I don't know. He should have did something. If he's such that good of a guy, and I know he is, he should have did something. Same with Van Dam. I'm disappointed in both of them. They should have did something.
Well, to be fair, right? Flair's a legend in the industry. You don't want to step on him because who knows what he'll do to you. He's
running around the airplane naked.
Right.
Step on him. What are you talking about?
Do you think
you
that
cover him up? You put him back in the seat. You chain him down. So you can't do that. You're in public.
Why does Ric Flair feel like he has a right to do this type of stuff all the time?
I don't know. He gets drunk and believes his own hype. He believes what he's the best worker there is, but he's not the best wrestler. The best wrestler is Kurt Angle. But Flair's like the best worker. You got to remember, working is not fighting.
Right.
If I resist you, work isn't shit.
Right.
Right. Now I consider myself a good worker, but a better fighter. But I haven't had to prove that very much because people, you don't have to. It's a business.
Sure.
We're not in the background. We're not in the playground. We're in a ring.
It's not a sport of
and it's
tough guys,
business.
right? In that essence, you're not really fighting, right? So
No.
you're there to take care of each other and entertain the fans that
Exactly.
want to see you.
And even though if I don't like you, I trust you to not hurt me on purpose. And I've been hurt on purpose many times.
Really?
Many
Wow.
times. And that's okay because I could take it.
Can you share a story where someone hurt you on purpose?
Well, when I wrestled for the FMW the last time before they went under, I dove on this guy, and he purposely moved out of the way, and I landed on my head, and I was knocked out for a month. I didn't remember a whole month, and every time I sneezed or jumped on my feet hard or stomped my foot hard, I lose consciousness.
You give this guy a receipt eventually for this wonderful feat he pulled on you?
No, I didn't realize how bad he didn't try to catch me till I seen it on video a year later. I just thought he just didn't do very good. Then I watched it on video. He moved out of the way, and I couldn't, and I landed straight on my head upside down, and it about killed me, and I didn't realize it.
Is it clearly you could tell the love you have for the sport that you've made such a great career out of, and you're such a legend at. Is there a part of you that you feel maybe you didn't want to go so extreme, and you just wanted to be a Bob Backlund-ish type of wrestler, a Kurt Angle type of wrestler?
Yeah, of course. Like my uncle always said, when I started breaking the table, the first time I broke a table, it was me and him against two guys, and we lost the match. Of course, it's work. But he said, get back in the ring and get your heat back. I go, what do you want me to do? He goes, think of something. I go, I know what. I'll moonsault a table. He goes, what's that? I go, I'll show you. So I threw a table in the ring, and I moonsaulted it, and that took off ever since. I don't know what I was getting at, but that's how that came about. I don't know what I was getting at. I forgot.
We're talking about if you ever wanted to be more of, a pure pro wrestler and not so hardcore in the things
Yeah,
you did.
well, like when me and Rob were training in my uncle's backyard, he goes, you're not going to be able to do that to anybody. I go, what do you mean? He goes, they're not going to lay there and take it. I go, we'll change the business. We'll make them take it, or we'll do it so it doesn't hurt them. So it looks like it does. And that's what it was. And I don't like patting myself on the back that much, but one thing I do say, I'll pat myself on the back for this, is that I changed the work rate. When I first started, it was do as little as possible for as long as possible to get paid as much as possible.
True.
And I changed it to do as much as possible in a little amount of time as possible for a little money. Not do it for the money, to do it for the business.
Wow, that's knowledge right there, man. Thank
Yeah.
you. That is an incredible statement. And you know what? Who can argue that? You have changed the business.
Yep.
Well, that one thing I will brag about, that I changed the work rate. That I did.
Absolutely. Huge fan. We are huge fans of Vince McMahon Jr. Thoughts on Vince McMahon Jr. and have you ever run across him in a certain way where you actually spoke to him and things like that?
Well, my problem with him was he wanted to have a personal relationship with me. Well, that's fine, but he's not like somebody who I'd hang out with. Like, I'll talk business with him during business hours. I wouldn't chit-chat with him about anything other than business. And so he took offense to that. Whenever I would see him, I'd kind of would go the other direction just so I wouldn't have to talk to him. I didn't think you had to kiss somebody's ass to do your job.
Right.
I figured if you do your job, that's kissing ass
Wait a minute,
enough.
so you felt that he was looking for you to do the proverbial ass kissing when you ran across him,
course.
and then you just veered out because you didn't want any part of that
'Cause
situation?
I watched everybody. They were acting big, they're bow-chested big, and then when they see Vince, boom, they drop right back down and start kissing his ass right away. Right away, like completely changed their whole character. Disappointed me in them.
That must have
big time
annoyed
disappointment.
you big
And I
time.
wouldn't do that. And I got a little advice from somebody who said, "Yeah, fake it." I said, "But I can't fake it. I can't fake it. I could fake it once, but I can't keep this up. He's not somebody who I'd hang out with, so I can't fake it.
Shit, I could fake it.
That
That kind of money, I can fake the shit.
I can't fake nothing.
Shining the shoes.
But if I have to fake it, that's too much work, and I don't like work. I rather what I consider is not work. It comes natural to me. When comes work, I don't like it. Like what I didn't like about WWE was it was scripted. Everything was scripted. I understand that for guys who don't have the right frame of mind to put together a good match. I understand that. But I do. I was wrestling 20 years when they hired me, so I thought they were hiring Sabu for 20 years of experience, not for a body. But they were hiring me for a body. They wanted me to do what I was told and do it their way. And I don't mind doing things what I'm told, but if it's not things that I would do, I would speak up. I go, Sabu wouldn't do that, or I wouldn't do that, And they go, well, we don't care what you would do. We care what you're gonna do. You're gonna do it, even if you've never done it before. So I would tell them stuff I was gonna do during the match, then I wouldn't do it on purpose. Just so I didn't like telling people my tricks before I did them. Even Vince, I didn't like telling them.
Right.
So I would give them like they would want a play-by-play before the match, and I'd give them a fake play-by-play and then change it in the ring. Not even change it, just do the other stuff in the ring that I felt was right. Because when I first started wrestling, a good worker was considered a good worker by how he reacted on his feet. Not how good he remembered something. Even we didn't care if you could remember a spot or not. As long as you could do the right thing at the right time, that's what counted, And that's what I kind of did. I'd go to the ring, not have a plan, but the plan would come to me as it went along, And what made a good worker from a great worker was the guys who could make that happen on their feet without a plan.
Yeah. All right, with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break where we'll return with this legend, and I got to tell you, blowing me away right now, Sabu. Great job. We'll be right back.
ECW.
Hi, it's John from Under the Table Hot Sauce. I'm here with my friend, the star of the show, Jimmy Farrow.
Yeah, what's up, JB?
Nah, nothing.
It's been a hot summer, and for all your barbecue needs, you can go to UnderTheTableHotSauce.com. 13 unique flavors to choose from, created and bottled in a Long Island kitchen. UnderTheTableHotSauce.com. Let's go chow, JB.
Let's do it.
All the flavor, twice the burn.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh. We're back with ECW and pro wrestling legend and future Hall of Famer Sabu in studio. So Sabu and Pharaoh at commercial break started talking about back to Tommy Dreamer and Rob Van Dam.
Yes.
So I really think the fans should hear, because I think Sabu's got something to say beyond that. So the conversation was, Pharaoh asked, Dreamer was young, Rob Van Dam was young.
On the flight back
Just
then.
giving a recap so then we could turn it over to Sabu.
Sure.
They probably were afraid, and Sabu said, well,
of the veterans.
I get it.
The veterans
I
on the
get
plane.
it, but if it was me,
Right.
I would have
He would have
done something.
He would have done something.
And then Pharaoh said, well, you're homicidal, genocidal, and Sabu
And
said-
suicidal.
And suicidal.
Yeah. And he said,
he said, not really.
Don't say that. No, he did not say that. Now you're don't fib. Sabu actually said, yes, I
It's
am.
a work. It's a work.
No, it's a work.
work.
I can't anymore. Can
So anyway,
can
you're
I
going to
smoke
continue
live
on.
the air?
Let's not lose your train of thought.
I wrestled in Las Vegas for the first time about 15 years ago, and the promoter comes to me. He goes, "How many tables do you need?" I go, "I just need one." And the guy I'm wrestling goes, "Oh, I need a couple." I go, "For what?" He goes, "I'm gonna give you a power driver off the ring." I go, "What the fuck?" He goes, "Well, you're crazy." I go, "That's a work." I said, "You're crazy thinking I'm crazy." I go, who the hell's gonna take that?
Can I ask you this? A legend like yourself, and then you're working with some of these young guys. Isn't that like against the rules of wrestling for a young guy to even approach a legend like yourself and say, "I want to do this"?
Yes, or tell me a spot that
Yeah.
tell me their spot they want me to do without me asking them.
Right.
Yes, that's out of place. It's disrespectful.
We lost New Jack. Can you talk about New Jack a little
Very
bit?
good friend of mine.
And tell us the type of person.
He wasn't as bad as people thought. Me and him have always been on a good level. Even when one time, a funny story is he was saying, "Motherfuck everybody in this dressing room. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, but not you, Sabu. Fuck you, fuck." I said, "All right, then, I got you
down the line. He said, "Not you."
He goes, "Fuck everybody, but not you, Sabu."
Oh my
That
God.
is great.
But New Jack, his stuff was blown out of proportion. He wasn't he wasn't as bloodthirsty as people thought. It was a work. It was a work.
He was working the shit out of us.
If he really wanted to stab
Smart
somebody,
man.
he wouldn't stab him in the forehead.
So
He'd stab him in the stomach.
Let me ask.
and
let
he'd
me
do
ask-
it in the dressing room.
Let me ask you this question, and again, answer it to the way you want to answer it. Tony Atlas is here. A good friend of the show, actually has a program on our channel along with some other wrestlers. He'll be interviewing Mega Powers 2.0 with the Pharaoh, as
Correct.
I'll be stepping away. But anyway,
Correct.
New Jack, well known for ripping Atlas apart on a lot of shoot interviews. Do you believe that's a total work, or do you think
It's a half work.
half a work?
half a work.
It's half work. Like it's called shooting from the hip. It's or shooting on the square. Like it's a joke, but still it's kind of true.
A little reality based.
Yes.
With over the top.
But blown out of proportion.
So when you say Ric Flair's a piece of shit, is that over the top, or is that just a straight?
That's a little over the top.
little-
I just don't like him. He didn't like me. He don't like me. I don't like him, and that's it.
Why doesn't he like you? What did you do?
I don't know.
He just flat out said, "I don't like you."
I'd come into a dressing room, shake everybody's hand. I'd go to shake his hand. He'd turn around.
Wow.
Or he'd come in and shake everybody's hand and skip me for some reason. I don't know why. And so I stopped putting my hand out for him. I go, okay, I get it. He don't want to be friendly to me. That's fine. But don't be rude to me either.
Do you think that and again, speculation, think maybe he didn't like your style? And
I don't know. He's a jealous prick. And I'm not afraid to say that. I don't give a fuck if he was here or not. I'll tell him who his face. He's a jealous prick. And he doesn't need to be. He's on top. He's the best. He's the best worker there is. But he still wants to cut down the lower guys or not give them a chance.
Well, the Sheik was your trainer, right?
Yes.
He was an old school guy. Did he explain that to you? Like, don't let anyone take your spot? Did he try
No,
to say that?
he said don't let anybody take your spot. Don't slack on your spot, but don't step on nobody, and don't do anybody wrong to get ahead, because then you're not really getting ahead. I want to be better than the next guy on an even playing field. I don't want to be better than him if he's being held back, or if I'm getting an unfair advantage. I always give myself. Just the opposite, not an unfair advantage, unfair disadvantage. So I always tried harder than the next guy. And I always tried harder than the next guy. So I thought anyways.
Tell us about your relationship, because you knew that this one was coming. Tell us about your relationship with Paul Heyman.
I first talked to him in 92, I think, and he seen my stuff in Japan and said that he was starting a new company called World Wrestling Network, and he wanted me to come in for that. I said, okay, good. And then out of the blue, this promoter from New Jersey, Dennis Corluzzo, called me and said, call Todd Gordon. He runs this company called ECW in Philadelphia, and he's a sucker. He'll give you $500.
He's a sucker.
So I called him up, Todd Gordon, and he about freaked out and goes, how much do you want? And I was afraid to say 500, so I said 300. He said, sure, come on in. So I came in.
you're
It
like,
happened to be
"Shit."
the same day, he fired Eddie Gilbert and hired Paul Lee. So
Right.
it wasn't a plan for me to be there and Paulie to be there. It happened.
Right.
And then Paulie just said, do your thing, and I did my thing, and that wasn't a plan either. That just happened. It wasn't supposed to be a style or a company pattern after me or nothing. It just happened that way. There wasn't a plan saying, okay, we're going to be extreme today. That wasn't the plan. There was no plan. The plan was just to bring me in, get over, and bring me back. That was it, and hopefully, hopefully draw bigger each time I came. And the first time I went to ECW, the first day, it was a 2-day run, it was 200 people. The next day was 400. The next month was 800. The following month was 1,600. The following month was 2,000. Every time I went, it kept growing and growing and growing. Then when I didn't go, it dropped down to 500. Then when I came back, went back up to 2,000. So that made me feel good. And so what Paul did and didn't do was stop the other guys from stealing my shit. When I wasn't there, he let them do my spots. And yes, it got them over, but it also watered down what I was doing.
Sure. Sure.
It made it look like from being a specialist to being anybody could do it, which I didn't like. And when you're in a company, the promoter himself is supposed to protect you. protect your gimmick so no one else does it. Like when my uncle wrestled, no one else on the show used a gimmick or bled or anything before he did. So his matches were special. Not that he was the only special match, just that night was supposed to be his special match. And same with me. When I was there, I didn't want nobody breaking tables and doing chairs and blood and all that before my match. So Paulie goes, okay, they won't. We'll put you on early then. They put me on earlier than everybody else did after me. So it didn't make sense, but I kind of ticked me off. He didn't protect me that way.
Did you ever say anything to him?
Sure I did.
And
every day. And he says, no, it didn't happen. And I go, I've seen the video. He goes, well, the lighting wasn't good. I go, well, but it still happened. He goes, well, I wasn't paying attention. I go, what are you talking about? I mean, if I didn't say anything, he would never told me, and I would never known.
All right, I got to know this, right? Again, you might be best friends with him, so I do apologize.
What?
I cannot stand Bubba Ray. I just can't.
You can't stand what?
Bubba Ray.
Okay.
He seems very arrogant and seems like he thinks he knows everything. Am I off base here? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
He does know a lot, and he is arrogant, but he's a pretty smart guy, and he's a hard worker, and he's very intelligent.
Was he one of the guys that tried to hold people down to make sure?
No,
Okay.
it was just the opposite. He was being held down. And then, they brought him in doing a stupid gimmick at first, like a stuttering idiot type of thing, and changed.
That was funny.
then he changed it into something serious.
Right.
Him and Devon.
Yeah.
And he was being held back by a few other guys.
Okay. I might have to reevaluate my thoughts on Bubba Ray.
Look, I love the Dudley Boys. Right. I love the Dudley Boy. I love Sabu. I love Sandman.
Well,
I love the whole damn
Sabu
company.
just turned me to maybe have to reevaluate.
Bubba deserves more credit than you give him.
Definitely one of the greats.
Oh,
no, without a doubt.
Fantastic.
It's just that example. He's on another show, right? And he always talks about everybody else's writing and how it should be and blah blah. And I think to myself, didn't you have the book in TNA and it failed miserably? So really, how can you give advice to anybody else, right? If you failed and fell on your ass, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that could just be that TNA black hole thing,
Yeah,
you go
exactly.
into know what I'm
failed
saying?
there.
Yeah.
I think Eric Bischoff and Russo and Bruce Pritchard were hired by Vince to make it purposely bad. That's what I think. I think they were getting checks from both sides, and the check from Vince was to make TNA purposely bad because they wouldn't use me and they wouldn't listen to nothing I had to say. Right. Not just me. They didn't use a lot of good things at their disposal. A lot of good guys at their disposal.
Well, so let me ask you this: like Bubba Ray's over there, and you have so many friends over there. Don't you ever reach out and say, "Yo, what's up? Help, hook up"?
Well, I'm ashamed to say I said that to him once. I said, "Hey, Bubba, what's going on in these booking meetings? Why ain't I getting a good deal on his?" And he goes, "You're not nobody's favorite. Nobody's bringing you up in the booking meetings." I go, "What about you?" He goes, "Well, yeah, but I got my own stuff to bring up." And this is when you said he was booking, right?
Yeah, right.
He didn't tell me that, but he said that nobody was bringing my name up in the booking meetings, so I was being overlooked, which is ridiculous. If they're flying me in, why overlook me? Other than Eric Bischoff and those guys were purposely trying to make the show bad.
But you just said, what about you? Right?
Okay, he didn't really have an answer for that.
Oh, now you turned me the other way. Now I'm mad
Now
again.
he's back to being.
Now I'm back.
Now he's back to get the tables and put him through it. This is unbelievable.
And that's one thing, I like Bubba and I love Devon. I love them both a lot. But like when we're on an independent show together, Bubba would go to the promoter and tell them they can be the only ones that break a table, and that I couldn't even break a table.
Wow.
And that's kind of pissed me off. But I said, well, that's not all I have. I have other stuff besides the table, anyways.
Yeah, but that's part of your.
That's what I thought. I figured I'd have first choice at the table.
Would
but
think so.
When they would get to the promoter first, they would say they had first choice at the table.
spot.
Is it just
That's terrible.
Look, we always say wrestling is a microcosm of the real world. Just
Kind of
you're all
is.
in your little
Yeah.
bubble, a different type of bubble.
Yeah.
But what seems to bother me a lot is we meet so many legends like yourself. In some cases, some guys are rich and they did really well for themselves, and some guys, did their job and now they're not struggling, but life just like me and
I know
him.
what you mean.
And I always wonder, this is this tight family. It's very easy to just say, hey, bring this guy in for a couple of shots. Let's make him some money.
When I was in ECW rolling good, I brought in all my friends. I gave them a fair shot. I didn't give them a job, but I gave them a tryout.
You gave them an opportunity.
I gave them a fair shot. If they were good, if Paulie liked them, and a few of them, like one of them was Rhino.
Rhino, nice.
One was Rob, RVD. These are all guys I brought in myself who I begged Paul to give them a fair shot before he beat the shit out of them. And most of the time, when he brought somebody new in, he had them put somebody over before he'd consider using them, which I thought was wrong. He's trying to put them in their place before they were out of place.
Right.
And I thought that was wrong. So I wouldn't let him do that with RVD or with Rhino.
So this brings me back then, right? So if it wasn't for you, Rob Van Dam, Dudley Boys, Tommy Dreamer, Paul now is, I don't know how much money Paul's got. He's probably a multi-millionaire at this point.
You can't even count it.
Yeah.
At what point should this guy be saying, hey, man, you know what? I'm bringing you in to be a manager. I'm bringing you in to do something. Why does this not happen?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't ask him because I just can't. But I don't know. I wondered that too. I wonder why he didn't say, "Hey, I got something for you, a position here for you," because he's on top of the world, and I help him get there. I don't care what he thinks or not. When he took over ECW, nobody gave him a shot of succeeding.
May I just correct you on one thing? You didn't help him get there. You got him there.
Okay, you can say that.
Yeah.
All right.
I
think that's what everybody feels.
You and the guys you mentioned, absolutely, you all got him. Does he ever call you? Does he ever check in with you?
He has been lately. He called me a few months ago. Then he called me when Melissa died.
Okay.
But it's a little late on reaching out. He should have reached out sooner. But it wasn't. I don't know how to explain it. But he has called me in the past few months and not too long ago. And it's hard for me to talk about this, but when I was gonna go to WCW, I had a secret meeting with Kevin Sullivan and J.J. Dillon, and they go up to the room, whatever. So I went up to the wrong room, and there was a bunch of the WCW booking team was there, and I walked in the room and turned around, and walked back out, and one of those guys went and called Paulie and said I was there negotiating the contract. So when Kevin Sullivan and J.J. Dillon gave me this contract. It was for a lot of money, more money than I can imagine. And I was shitting myself. So I go, I got to take this back to my hotel room and read it. And Kevin goes, read it, just sign it. But really what I wanted to do was tell my mother first and then sign it and give it back to him. But when I called my mother, at the same time someone came to the door, at my house door at home, and the dog started going crazy. So it made my mom panic, and she had a heart attack. Not because I told her about the contract before I could tell her. So I went home straight away from Georgia, went right back to Lansing, Michigan. Within 6 hours, I was in the ICU with her. And I called Kevin Sullivan and said, Kevin, I'm at the hospital with my mother, but I have the contract here ready. I signed it, and I'm ready to fax it over to you. He goes, too late. We're already being sued. And it wasn't even being sued. It was the threat of being sued made them drop it. And it was for more money than I would have been set right now. I've been still rich by now. And it was a year later, they went out of business and died. And Kevin and JJ thought I could save their company. And so did I. I thought I could come in and save it also. But I didn't get the chance to. And so I kind of hated Paul for that. But my mother made me forgive him because she had 12... Me going home to her gave her 12 years more of life.
Okay.
Otherwise she would have died, she said. Okay. So she made me forgive him. So I do forgive him, but not completely because he's getting fat and I'm not.
Right. Understood.
And it's hard for me to talk about it because I feel sorry for myself, but I shouldn't feel sorry for myself. But I feel I didn't get a square deal, and it was from somebody who already had their deal.
Right.
Paulie is set for life before any of this. And so, but I wasn't, and I was wrestling for the love of the business, not for the money. But when I needed the money, it was taken away from me.
Took it from you.
I wrestled. I didn't even think about money when I wrestled. I just thought, wow, I'm getting paid to be treated like Elvis. I come to town, everybody shits their pants and comes and sees me and has me sign stuff, takes pictures, and that feels great. So to me, that was payment, not the dollars. But when it came down to where I needed the dollars, I didn't have it. It wasn't there. It was taken from me.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Do you know? It's very heavy. I mean,
it's hard to talk about because I don't hold that much resentment towards it anymore. But I used to. But my mother made me that made me drop it, so I did.
Right. Do you ever speak? You know, when I hear your story, I think about other guys who, in my opinion, in ECW, were absolutely top shelf and should have been top shelf in other companies, whether it was Vince, whether it was Ted. Do you ever speak to Sandman about stuff like this? I mean, it must make you feel at least better to know you're not alone somewhat in this. You guys, there was other guys that should have been world championship material. I mean, do you at least talk with them about these sorts of things? I mean, it's got to feel better at least a little bit to be able to share with someone who was there back in the day and knows what the fuck Paulie has become and all of that. I mean,
yeah, it's a little comforting, but it's still a hard pill to swallow when I set the pace and then it was taken from me. You know, I didn't pass the torch. It was ripped out of my hand.
Right.
It was ripped from me. I didn't pass it. They didn't give me a chance to pass it. I wanted to pass it. I still want to pass it, but now I'm too old to pass it. But anyways, when it was time to pass it, they didn't let me pass it. They ripped it from me.
Right. Thoughts on Mick Foley?
What's that?
Thoughts on Mick Foley?
I love him. He's the, believe it or not, he's done more for me than anybody in the business, even more than Rob Van Dam.
Okay.
And he did it without me asking, what means even more.
Right.
He did so much for me. I can't even begin to start. He did so much, and I thank God for him. And he even said, if anything, he wanted to be the nicest guy in the business. Well, he sure is. Nice. In my book, he's the nicest guy in the world.
Your buddy Rob was, of course, inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. So I ask you, Sabu, the WWE Hall of Fame, the ultimate honor or a sham without a building?
Sham without a building.
Okay.
No disrespect to the guys who are there in it. Mm-hmm. The only disrespect is to Vince and whoever invented it. Because it's not, a Hall of Fame is to honor the great players of the game, not to honor celebrities. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You don't put somebody in there who's a good singer. You put somebody in there who's a good wrestler or did something for the business.
So if I could go against that, what you're saying, don't you think someone like Cyndi Lauper, who actually changed the business, should be in a Hall of Fame?
Though, right?
I think that's ridiculous.
Why?
Okay.
Because she's not a wrestler.
But she did change the business. The business was a flat until she got involved.
What if they put a wing that would include only the important ones, though? Like, I agree with you. Cyndi Lauper was definitely instrumental to the MTV generation, to the whole rock and wrestling thing.
Yes, but she wasn't a wrestler.
So I agree.
A better way
agree
for you to explain it then would be, what made Sabu want to be a pro wrestler?
What made me want to be a wrestler?
Who did you see? What made that happen?
Well, I don't know. Ever since I was 3 years old is when I realized the Sheik was my uncle, and I realized he was a wrestler, and whenever I would watch him, it sparked something inside of me to where I knew that was my vision. I knew that was my path. Ever since I was 3 years old, I knew wrestling was my path, and I didn't care about the money. I just wanted to wrestle, and when I needed the money, it wasn't there.
Right. How?
And I hate keep bringing up money, but we all need money to survive.
Absolutely.
We can't get by on just our word. We have to have money.
Absolutely. Look, in the end, it's about money. And then when the people who get off of other people, there should be some sort of respect to say, hey, look, I owe you. It's a big problem.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Taz a little bit. Did you have real heat with Taz, or was that just a total work? What was the issue with Taz?
Kind of. It was a... when I came into ECW, I wrestled him first, and then ever since then, we were kind of married together. Not willingly, but everybody kept sticking us together as a tag team or a match or something. And I kind of got annoyed with it because, he's not from the same background as me. Now, I like Taz now today. I didn't like him then because he was always trying to ride my coattails. I hate saying it that way, and I don't mean to disrespect him like that. But the truth was, he was trying to ride my wave, and I didn't want nobody to ride my wave. I wanted to ride it. I was so new to it. And I was so insecure that I didn't think I had the power to bring somebody along with me. I just knew that I could do it myself, and I didn't want help. I just wanted. I didn't want help. I just wanted a ring to opportunity. That's why I wanted opportunity. I didn't want help. I just wanted opportunity. To show what I could do without you telling me how to do it. I wanted to show you what I could do with what's inside of me, not what's inside of you.
how hard was it for you once you had established your deal and how you do a match? As you got older, how hard did you almost like pigeonhole yourself? Because like physically, were you ever saying to yourself as you got older, oh crap, man, my style is really fucking me up? No.
Even today, I could hardly walk, and I still wouldn't change it.
There you go.
I wouldn't change it. I'm proud of what I did. And like my uncle said, you can do things other people's way well, but you can do things your way better. And who would you be more proud of? The way someone else tells you or the way you tell you? I said, I'd be more proud of the way I tell me. And so that's what he installed in me was, don't do something unless you can be proud of it. So when I was faced with scripts from Stephanie McMahon and scripts from Vince, I go, if I did this, I wouldn't be proud of myself. So how about I do this? And I use that for the promo. Like, I'm not going to use your promo. I'm not going to read your script. And they didn't like it. They actually fired me from it.
Wow. How did you find Stephanie McMahon to be as a person?
She was okay to my face. Behind my back, she was a cunt.
Oh.
Behind my back, she motherfuckered the hell out of me.
Really?
But to my face, she was the nicest girl in the world.
Shane?
What's
Any
that?
thoughts on Shane McMahon?
Shane's very nice too. I never heard him ever say anything bad about me, but I'm sure he did. But he's he's a worker like his dad. He's a baby face to your face, and then he's a heel behind your back. I think. But Shane, to my face, utmost respect. What can I say?
Okay.
So one thing we didn't ask you, do you respect Vince McMahon Jr.?
Yes. I don't dislike him or hate him or nothing like that, but he actually even said to me I was better than he thought and that I was better than anybody else, better than everybody else. He actually said that to my face, but then still questioned every spot I did. Like, I said, how can you say I'm better than this guy if you don't even let me show you how I can continue to be better or continue to be good?
Right.
He still said, you're better than the next guy, but I still want you to do this.
All right, so we're out of time.
I'm sorry.
What?
So
Boo!
we have something called the Pharaoh's Final Question, where he's
What?
unscripted, comes out of his mind, might ask you about a chocolate donut.
A chocolate
Maybe
donut.
about brushing your teeth. I have no idea what he's going to ask.
Sabu
but
brushing his teeth.
I don't know what you're going to ask. I'm just trying
I'd
to
go like that.
explain
I'd
what
hold
this
my hand.
question could be.
Okay. Listerine crest. What kind of question is this?
Crest.
There you go. See, we find
Well,
my
first of all, that's not
smoke-alike and
apples
think
to
of-
apples, by the way. Listerine and Crest are not apples to apples. It would
What?
be Colgate or Crest.
No, I wanted to know whether he likes the mouthwash or the toothpaste.
Oh, I understand.
I'm mixing it up a little bit.
I like
I gotta
the
wait.
toothpaste.
Hold on,
Like
not
the
to interrupt in
toothpaste.
your final question,
Yeah, go
but
ahead. Go ahead.
if you just use mouthwash and don't brush your teeth, that's pretty gross.
Who does that? I didn't say
Well,
I do that.
You're giving the man two options.
We both picked Crest. You can rest easy.
All right, sorry.
Okay. Sabu, what the freak, Monty? Sabu, I want to ask you, what was your opinion on, I need to take a Rolaids for this one. What was your opinion on Vince McMahon's ECW?
That's the final question.
I knew it was going to be bad, but I thought
I knew it
when
was
they
gonna be
called
bad.
me, I thought that they said they were going to let me be me.
Okay.
But when I got there, they didn't. They wanted me to talk. They were trying to change me. Vince said to me, you could be our top baby face, but you have to be a likable baby face. You have to be able to talk. I go, no. I said, I'm a likable baby face by not being a likable baby face. By being like I say Randy Savage, like a tweener, a baby face heel, where you don't kiss up to the fans, but they like you anyways. Now, another thing I pat myself on the back for, I'm sorry to do this again, is I made cheating legal. Like when you use a chair, table, and all that stuff is illegal. But I made it fashionable. I made it legal.
Right. Referee would just stand there. Well, he's getting a table.
By the way, Patrick Rosa's out there, F Boston Wrestling.
Yeah.
And John Cena Sr.
Again with
Again.
poor John
Hey,
Cena
look, that's what he
Sr.?
said.
I like John Cena. I like him.
How about John
There you go.
Cena Sr.?
I like him too. He's crazy. He's a nut.
That's
But I
awesome.
like
Right?
him.
Very good guy, though.
He told me this. I'm sorry to interrupt.
no,
but
please.
It's your show.
He took his son John Jr. to his first live show in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And that night I broke my jaw, and he said it traumatized him.
Wow.
Because I broke my jaw, got back up and finished the match, and blood pouring down my face,
God.
and I got teeth knocked out.
Wait a minute. You tied your tendon back up.
Yeah, but he wasn't there for that.
And real fast, too, Pharaoh's second last question. What is this rumor? You don't like barbed wire? Is it because of a tendon thing, or
No, it has nothing to, I don't like barbed wire because it's
because it
uncomfortable.
hurts?
What's that?
Because it hurts. There goes
hurts.
kayfabe again.
No, I can deal with pain, but I don't like it.
Right.
It'd be crazy to say
Right.
I like it. I can
Right.
just deal with it.
Right.
I have a high threshold for pain, I guess you'd say, and I got that from my mother. My mother's side, anyway, the Arab side, and so it didn't bother me that much. And then when some people would ask me, "How bad is that barber?" I go, "It's not shit." Then come back, and go, "Holy fuck, it killed me."
So I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's been an honor. Thank you for taking the time out.
Thank you for asking me.
Thank you, Sabu.
One thing I would ask you, just if you could end the show with, is if you could just share your final thoughts about Melissa on the show again for us. We'd like you to share your final thoughts about Melissa on the show, and maybe,
I miss her every second. I think about her and what happened every minute, and I don't deserve to be happy because of what happened to her. I thought she could be I thought she couldn't be in anybody's better hands than mine, and she died on my watch, so I have to punish myself for that. And I don't know. I think about it all the time, and I can't help it. And even the doctors say, even in a hospital setting, she wouldn't have been able to be saved because her heart was so bad. But we didn't know that, and I still think I should have saved her. I should have saved her. I tried, but it didn't work. The CPR. I tried so hard I pissed myself when I was doing it, and it didn't work. It didn't help her, and I will always punish myself for that. I don't know why, but I don't know why exactly, but I feel that I should have saved her. I should have saved her. I don't care what anybody says about hospital setting, whatever. She died in my watch. And I will punish myself for the time for that.
Well, Sabu, I hope when you having those rough times, you at least try to remember how many people love you. What an amazing person we can now say you are, because we got a chance to finally meet you. And I'm sure Melissa would want you to be very happy to the best of your abilities the rest of the way, my brother.
It's hard for me to even smile without her.
I understand.
We got you.
I understand.
I can't smile without her. I didn't smile much with her anyways, but I really can't without her.
We just got to remember too, man, is that you loved her unconditionally. She loved you unconditionally, and
that's very hard to come by.
She knew when we got together. She knew I was broke, and it didn't mean nothing to her.
There you go.
That was material to her, and I thought the same thing. So I'm broke, so what? But most people go, "Oh, you're broke. Fuck you." But she didn't. She goes, "You're broke. So what? We'll fix it," and we were fixing it, and it is fixed now. I just wish she was here with me. And here she is, but I just wish she was physically here with me. I'll never forgive myself.
Well, we're going to end this show with this statement from a fan that's watching right now,
Sure.
and I think we end it with this. I love Sabu, man. He's an angel in the world of pro wrestling, and sir, it is our honor again. You're an incredible human being, and we wish you only the best. This has been Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. I'm Mike Monty.
This is the Pharaoh, and until next time, which is happening very shortly with Mr. Rattless and Mega Powers 2.0. Later.